that are just now discovering your music and everything?
Well, how far do you want to go back? Well, I don't know what to tell you. I was adopted as a child and found my real mother in my early 20s, living in Bearden, Arkansas. How about that?
That's a hell of a deal.
Turned out she was quite a famous singer in Ireland in the 50s. I heard King Crimson when I was about 12 or 13, and I saw them play in my local town, and it blew me away. And I somehow left with a rather childish teenage notion that somehow it would affect my life, not knowing the full ramifications of that very fact. So, and in the meantime, I've worked as a solo artist. I've worked as a session musician. I was in a band called Level 42. I've made solo records, and now I'm in King Crimson.
Well, I'll tell you, Jakko, you have got quite the background, quite the career. So you have got some forthcoming material, Secrets and Lies. Tell me a little bit about this, because this is a heck of a collection of music.
Well, I've been touring with Crimson for 7 years, and I've been co-writing new material, mostly with Robert Fripp. And some of those songs are now part of our repertoire. But some of the songs that I took to him, we started to have something of an in-joke, which was he would say, "I love this song. This is fantastic. It would be an ideal track for your next solo album," which was obviously code for "we're not playing this." So I ended up with some. with some tunes, 3 of which are on this album. Not all of them, but some of them from the Crimson writing sessions. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Secrets and Lies. Why did you decide to title that this way?
Well, the thing is, some of the songs deal with that subject, and a number of things happened in my personal life that seemed to. It all became something of a theme. For instance, I discovered a brother I didn't know I had. He wrote to me when I was in the last Crimson shows we did, which were in October in Santiago in Chile. I got a message out of the blue from him, and then following that, I approached an adoption agency, and they produced this dossier of everything that had happened to me from when I was born.
Wow.
And so it would appear that there were, my birth mother had given me a kind of narrative about what had happened, and it all turned out to be lies. And so there's lots of secrets and lots of lies, and
wow.
It became a kind of running theme throughout that, and it seemed to be relevant to some of the tunes on the record. So it seemed the ideal title for it at that moment.
So tell me about some of the different people that are on this album, that are guesting on the album, things like that.
Well, Robert Fripp is on 2 tracks, 2 of the tracks that we co-wrote together. The great Tony Levin, who plays bass for King Crimson when he's not with Pete Gabriel and many other people, plays bass on a lot of the record. Gavin Harrison plays drums on most of the album, brilliant drummer. Peter Hamill from Van de Graaff Generator, we co-wrote a track together, and he sings BVs on another. I think that's it. There's a guy called John Giblin, who's a brilliant bass player, played with Kate Bush, did Kate Bush's big 15-night stint in London in 2014, and has played on her last 3 or 4 albums, and he's on Pete Gabriel's 3rd album, and he used to be in Simple Minds when they're at their kind of stadium filling peak. And yeah, Mel Collins, I think that's everybody near enough, and
that's
awesome. A couple of my kids are on it too.
That's awesome. So The Trouble with Angels, tell us a little bit about this track.
Well, it was inspired by something that happened in Monte Carlo. Crimson were playing there at this beautiful ornate theatre. And I met this woman who was there because she was on her honeymoon. But her husband-to-be had died before the wedding, so she went anyway. And we kind of connected, and we kept in touch. And I remember calling her, writing to her on Christmas Day, and then a year later she got a life together and had married somebody else. But she called me her guardian angel, and it was this idea of you meet someone. I had a similar experience. In fact, the first time I went to meet my real mother, I was in a real state. It's quite a long flying journey from England. You can't fly direct to Bearden, Arkansas. You've got to go through I think I went to Boston, St. Louis down to Little Rock, and I was, by the halfway through, I thought, is this a good idea? I was in a real mess, and this woman saw me, came over, and was incredibly sweet and chatted to me and made me feel a whole lot better. I spoke to her once after that, and it was inspired by this idea of you meet someone in an isolated incident, and it becomes quite a significant thing, but you may not even see them again. And then that reminded me of this film from the 80s called Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders, which is about these angels in Berlin, So that was the inspiration of it, and the inspiration for the video, the animated video that we made.
That's fantastic. So we have got a great guest with us today. Jakko joins us here in our broadcast, King Crimson, and of course he also has Secrets and Lies, which is his brand new solo album. It's coming out in the month of October 23rd. So what is it like as a musician releasing a collection of music, especially a solo album, during a pandemic?
Well, you've got to. Well, there's something of a captive audience, I should imagine. People they certainly aren't going to come and see me play, or anyone else, because we're not playing. I don't know. Listen, the whole world is turned upside down. It's hard to make sense of it, isn't it? And that's just what the world needs, is my solo album. I'm old enough and ugly enough to know that. Listen. I treat it very seriously. It's a very well recorded, a beautifully presented thing.
Yes.
But music is subjective, man. If people get it, great, and if they don't, they don't. And I'm under no illusions. I'm no longer a aspiring pop star like I was in the early 80s. I'm a grizzled old cynic now.
Well, that's maybe that's a good spot to be, my friend.
Maybe.
So, what are some of the other stories behind some of the other songs on this? Because there's 11 great tracks on this.
Well, the opening track is a song called "Before She Met Me," which is based on a book by Julian Barnes, and the story tells of a cynical, middle-aged lecturer who falls madly in love with a woman much younger than him. And he abandons his wife and his kids, and he becomes really obsessed with this woman to the point of insanity, really. And he starts to get jealous of who she was before he met her. And in the story, she was an actress, an unsuccessful actress that made a handful of movies. And he seeks those movies out. The novel was written back in the 80s, so in the novel he finds these little cinemas that are showing these films, and he goes and he gets filled with jealousy and anger seeing his new partner acting out having an affair. So A, it's not really an affair, she's acting, and B, it was before he met her anyway. So that had a connection with someone I went out with many years ago who got very jealous about what had happened before I'd even met them, which seemed insane. So one of the songs is about that. One of the songs is about being cheated on. It's a cheery set of subject matter.
Yes.
But it's that thing. It's something you can look back on that it's difficult to write about at the time. and it's about all the things that were glaringly obvious to everybody else, but not to you because you weren't prepared to admit it. You didn't want to admit it to yourself. So that song's called "It Would All Make Sense," and it's basically about, look, all of these things are in front of me. Well, one of the lines from the song is, "One of us is lying. I hope to God it isn't you, because it would all make sense." You know?
That's awesome.
So it's the idea. It's turning that idea on its head. What else? There's a song about the distance between my mother and myself called "The Borders We Traded." There's a song about a drummer called Pyle, who used to be in an English band called Hatfield and the North, who I knew very well. And the second album by that band is called The Rotters Club, which is the name of a best-selling novel by a man called Jonathan Coe. And wow. I went to Pip's funeral, and I drove back to London with Jonathan Coe, and the lyrics started to appear in my head. So that's what that song's about. How am I doing? There's a song.
Oh, I'll tell you, you've got some amazing things here. Before we let you go, how do we get this album and find you online and everything else?
Well, apparently I have a website, which is called Jakko, JAKKO.com. I say apparently because I had nothing to do with it. But I do have a website. I know that the album is available on a label called Inside Out, which is part of Sony.
Yes.
It's part of Sony Records. I guess you could get to it via the Crimson website. Any number of places. I think if you type in my first name at least, don't bother typing in the surname. It's a car crash of vowels and consonants. It's interesting. That surname is insane, and it's a combination of my adoptive father's Polish name and an administrative error, because when he came to England, they spelt it incorrectly on all his documents, and he thought it would just be a lot easier to learn how to spell it wrong than it would be to tell them that they'd made a mistake.
Fantastic! That is the greatest thing. Amazing. Well, Jakko, this has been an honor and a privilege, and I definitely want to chat with you again. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, my friend.
Well, I'm about to go. This is a stupid thing for a man of my age to do, but I'm about to go off and play football, or soccer, as you Americans would say.
Yes.
So let's hope I can still walk in the morning.
Well, thank you, sir. Good luck with everything. I'll talk to you soon. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you, Jakko.
Thank you.
There he goes, and there we go. Hell of an interview. Great guy, and good stuff. And get a hold of us online on Spotify. Also, find us JiggyJaguar.com, JiggyJaguar.com. We will also have this available on KJAGradio.com as well.